There are a lot of different opinions right now about the way that Christians should be responding to these government mandates. And first things first, I am not a politician. I am a pastor. That means that I talk about Jesus and the occasional dad joke, of course. But I think that there's certain things that we can keep in mind that are going to help us get through this season in a way that's going to represent Christ well. We are representatives of Christ whether we realize it or not. So that means when we're at the grocery store, when we're on social media, the way that we're interpreting information and sharing it, all of that is a representation of Christ. The question is, are we doing it well? First things first, when it comes to the way we interpret, we can have complete trust in leadership that they can't do anything wrong, or we can be on the other end of the spectrum. No trust. There's always an orchestration of things out to get you. I'm not telling anybody where to stand on the political spectrum or the way that you interpret information per se. What I am saying is that let's do it in a way that shows off the humble character of our Lord Jesus Christ. So there's three things I want to leave you with today. The first is that there is no conspiracy or any man-made thing that will ever separate you from the love of God. And this is what counts. God has given us His love, and that's what secures us. That's what gives us peace. And because we have this peace, we can respond to any situation in a way that shows off His love and His character. The second thing I want to leave you with is that there's right and there's wrong. And we usually stop right there. But we shouldn't, because the third option is that there's wise. Just because we can do something doesn't always mean we should. Every situation is different. The way a small church out in the middle of nowhere is going to express their political freedoms is going to be different than the way that a large church in a really big city is going to express their political freedoms. The approach might be different, but the goal is always the same. And let's make the goal always the same, to love God and to show off His love to others by representing Him well. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is to always be praying. The politicians that you don't agree with need prayer just as much as the ones you do agree with. First things first with that is that it was God who allowed anybody to have the position that they have. Right? So let's appeal to God and pray that God would have His way in our country's leaders. Again, I'm not telling anybody where to stand on their political spectrum and the way they interpret information per se, but what I am saying is that by the grace of God, let's represent Him and His character well to the world.